So the question is, why do we spend the extra wear and power cost of killing between going from 90 to 98%? Because it's significant. It's nearly twice as much energy in terms of wear. Could make a massive difference. I know with our alternate value proposition mill that the wear is significantly less and the power is significantly less. So, and the cost to produce is significantly less. But there is a reason that we should do it, and this has only really occurred to me over the last 3 or 4 months. The importance of it, and it comes down to the simple population dynamics of the weeds. So I've just tabulated some 3 different scenarios. A, you do nothing. B, you try and kill everything, 98% kill. C, you aim for 90% kill. I've got some assumptions here. 100 viable seeds per plant. So if a plant's got, so there's 100 seeds on that plant that will become a weed next year. We're going to get 80% into the mill. Sometimes you'll get more, sometimes you'll get less, depending on a lot of different things. And we've just got a simple scenario here where we've controlled 98% of our weeds using herbicides that season. So it's a complicated how the dormancy in weeds come up in cohorts, and you can kill certain portions of them with herbicides. But if we've assumed that overall we end up with 98%, so I've just started here with a population of weeds, which is 100, and I've just put it here as that's 10. The area doesn't really matter because it's, nor does the number, it's the trend, but I've just got it over 10 square metres. So we've started off with 100 at the start of the year. That's how many viable seeds are in the seed bank that are going to become weeds. They become weeds that year. We killed 98% of them. So we end up with 2 at harvest time. And one of the important things here is that the visual of this is that you've got good control. There's not many weeds out there. That's part of the issue, is that it's that if you've just got that odd survivor, it doesn't look that bad. But the reality is, if those 2 weeds have got 100 viable seeds at harvest time that will become weeds next year, we have 200 viable seeds at harvest in that 10 square metres when we started with 100. So even though we've killed 98%, we've got twice as many seeds that will become weeds next year. So the problem is twice as bad next year. So then if we look at, well, this 20% of capture we're going to lose. So if we do nothing, then 200 are going to go straight through to the keeper, and we're going to have 200 next year. Here, the 98% kill and 90%, we've got 40 seeds that are going to escape, and they'll become weeds next year. So without cutting lower and potentially swathing, we may not be able to get those ones. And this is where my shift in logic is. I used to think that because you've got this proportion that disappear, it doesn't matter. That top end level of kill doesn't warrant the cost. But if we looked at the survivors that are going to pass through, so we've got them in our hands, they're at the mill, and we're going to let them, we're either going to kill them or let them survive. So with a 98% kill, so we've got 160 out of the 200 here. So we're going to, with 98% kill, we've got 3.2 seeds that are going to survive that milling operation. With 90% kill, we've got 16 seeds. So if we just looked at in isolation, it's actually 5 times the number of survivors. So if you were able to get 100% capture, then next year you would have 5 times as many weeds, just with that small shift in kill. But if we look at what the total effect is here with the 80% control, with 80% capture, this is still 30% more weeds. So 43.2 and 56. So we've got 30% more weeds that are going to grow next year. They're going to take moisture, they're going to take chemical to kill, they are potentially resistant, all those things. And it just seems like not much of a difference in the kill. So that's where our thinking has shifted, and we're thinking about the survivors now, because if this is in 1 year, so in 1 year of applying a 98% mill job versus a 90% versus a 98%, we're seeing a 30% change in the number of weeds between those two. What happens with compound interest? It blows out really quick. So over a 10-year period, you're talking orders of magnitude difference in the number of weeds. I guess the flip side of that story is that in this particular instance, with our 90% herbicide control, 80% capture, 100 viable seeds per plant, we are, in both of these scenarios, we are tipping the scales, because next year's problem is actually less than this year's. The challenge there is that quite often you're not going to get 98% control. So if this moves to 96%, then all of a sudden this number here is 112. So if 96%, then that number doubles, and that number doubles. So this one is tipping the scales and that one is not. So it is one argument to say, well, we're both in the decline, so it doesn't really matter, it's a numbers game. But I think 30% more weeds is worth chasing. It may, like, if you capture more, then you can move up closer to this 5 times as many weeds. So it's worth chasing those last few percent kill. And I guess that's, we've definitely got the option of mill technology that can reduce your cost per hectare, reduce fuel usage, all of those things. But I think that the strategy just needs to be throw everything at these things, because we want to stop running our farms based on weed management. We want to be able to choose the crops we want to grow. We want to be able to keep crops in rotation that are profitable and are the right crops agronomically, not just trying to bring in new chemicals to be able to control these weeds.